now welcome on a very special guest, Gophers 2026 quarterback commit from Downers Grove, Illinois, Owen Lansu. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So I guess we'll just kind of start with the last time you were in Minnesota for your for an unofficial junior day visit in early February. I guess for Gophers fans and people following college football, what did that visit, I guess, entail? Did you meet with the coaches, or kind of what did your weekend look in Minnesota a few weeks ago?
Yeah, so that was more of a priority recruiting event. So it was really only commits. So at that time it was me, Howie Johnson and Andrew Trout were there, and then it was really just the priority guys who were there as well. I think it was a group of 12 or 15 guys who were there. Everyone there held a Minnesota offer. Uh, Um, they were guys who we would love to be part of the 2026 class. So essentially, what it was, when we first got there was in the stadium, and it was kind of a luncheon. And so the way that the event worked was every recruit had a current player who they were kind of partnered with for the trip, and so we ate there, and then we bussed over to the hockey arena where we watched Minnesota take on Wisconsin. They got the W there, and then after that, it was uh, really up to us and the players to go out and do whatever we wanted to do for the rest of the night. So I was partnered with Drake Lindsay, and he was a great host. We had a good time and got to know him pretty well, which is important because moving forward, he's probably going to be the leader in that quarterback room. And he's the guy who I really want to learn a lot from when I'm there and mentor me. So it was a really good experience. And yeah, and then in the morning we ate breakfast together. Talked to Coach Fleck and Coach Harbaugh for a while, and then went home.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, I guess in your recruitment, obviously you mentioned Drake Lindsay and kind of getting closer with him in the past couple of weeks. What were your, I guess, impressions of PJ Fleck and Coach Harbaugh as a recruiter? Kind of because you've been committed to the Gophers since July, and I guess how has your relationship with both of those two coaches changed throughout the process?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely grown. When you're getting recruited to go play somewhere, everything is super professional, and everything is always some of the interactions are like even a little bit forced sometimes. But since I've committed, I've really gotten to know them more on a personal level. I mean, I talked to them. I texted Coach Fleck this morning. I talked to Coach Harbaugh about 45 minutes on the phone this weekend. So I'm constantly in contact with them and learning from them. I hit up Coach Harbaugh this weekend asking him just for advice on some scheme stuff for our offense in high school this week. So I've gotten to really know them on a personal level, and they're really just to help me through these like last 11 months that I've got in high school. And yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you have been committed since July. I guess because obviously in this new high school recruiting, a lot of people like to wait until early National Signing Day. Some people wait until the spring. What kind of made you want to verbally commit to Minnesota last July?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's always been my dream to play football in the Big Ten, like a lot of Midwest kids. Like, in my opinion, it's the best conference in the country. I mean, you can't really beat it. And at the time, I really felt like it didn't really matter what that school was as long as it was the right fit. Um, and for me, going into my visit where I ended up committing, I really didn't expect to commit. But they had been the school that had really been recruiting me the hardest or the most. Um, and after the camp, when they had come to me and asked for my commitment, I didn't commit right away. So there was actually like a recruiting event afterwards that I was going through while mulling over that decision in my head. Um, but and it was with a bunch of 2025 commits, and as I talked to some of the guys, talked to my dad, talked to my mom, and really get a sense for everything and everybody, and it just felt right in the moment. Um, and honestly, there was a period of time after where, I had questioned a little bit whether or not it was the right decision, whether it was too soon. But I'm really happy now that I made that decision, and any of those kind of concerns or worries or whatever have completely gone away, and I'm super, super happy with where I'm going.
Yeah, so I guess college sports and college football specifically have been going through a lot of changes, specifically with recruiting, the transfer portal, NIL. And I guess from your perspective as a guy who's coming out of high school, it's way different than someone who's been in college for 3 years. I guess how do you approach all of these opportunities and options you have as a high school recruit? Because like you obviously can change your mind way quicker than than a player was able to do 10 years ago. So I guess what's your like outlook on the current state of college football and college recruiting as you kind of enter this next step of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you're looking for, and I think it depends on what kind of person you are. I think for me, what I've always valued is loyalty and just being around good people. And I know that I found that with Minnesota. I feel super confident in that. I love every single person that I've interacted with in and around the program. And so for me, at the end of the day, like whatever logo you're playing for really doesn't matter. What really matters is the people that you're around. And so unless I develop relationships with an entire staff and I'm more impressed with them than Minnesota, which I honestly don't think is possible for me at this point. I mean, there's really no like second guessing it. Once you know you're with the right people, like it's you like as a recruit.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So, after your junior day visit earlier this month, you had a few clips on Twitter that you're working out with Tanner Morgan and his new QB motion kind of training thing. Kind of what's your relationship with him and kind of what happened with that whole, I guess, workout?
I'm sorry, I lost you for like 10 seconds. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, no worries. So, your junior day visit, there were some clips on social media of you working out with Tanner Morgan, former Gophers QB, and the QB motion thing that he
Yeah. Yeah.
has started up. I guess what is your relationship with him, and kind of how did you get that set up?
Yeah, so Tanner was actually at the camp that I ended up committing at. And so like at the time I think he was kind of transitioning between being like a quarterback assistant and kind of he's very closely connected with the program still. As I mean, he played there just a couple years ago. But he's not a member of the staff. So it had been recommended to me by both Coach Harbaugh and Coach Fleck and Coach O'Hara um, that I train with him or at least consider training with him. And so while I was there, I took advantage of the opportunity being where he was and actually drove straight from the facility to his facility to train with him. And I thought he was a super impressive guy. I thought a lot of the stuff that he taught was stuff that I hadn't really been introduced to before. And he gave me some stuff to go home and work on. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier for me to develop that relationship when I'm actually on campus and can kind of access him all the time. But I think we're going to get some virtual sessions in because he does a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Did you have a QB coach growing up, or is that kind of the first more specialized coaching that you've had?
Yeah, so I've been training with the Next Level Athletics for the past 5 seasons, I want to say. So Coach Holcomb, and then playing 7-on-7 with him. So he's been a big part of my process and my development. But obviously, as I move into college, that becomes just geographically, it becomes harder to train with him on a consistent basis. So um, really, I think Tanner could be my more regular basis guy as I move into college, just because he's so accessible up there and he's so connected with the staff that it's almost like an extension of the coaching staff.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned kind of the relationship you built with Drake Lindsay and now Tanner Morgan too. Was there anyone else, I guess, on your visits? Were you able to meet Max Brosmer, any other quarterbacks on the roster?
Yeah, so I actually have never met Max in person, but Max is somebody. like just around the program that they talk about like so highly. And like they like when I was there last time, they already had him up on the wall in the quarterback room as one of the Minnesota greats on the wall. So obviously for him to do that in a year is pretty special. So I've had the pleasure of getting to know him sort of over the phone. I talked to him 2 weeks ago for maybe 45 minutes, just asking him, his advice on some stuff because I think me and him are very very similar play styles and similar people. And I think, to be honest with you, a big part of why the coaches like me so much is because, as they've told me, like I remind them a lot of Max. Um, so yeah, like him being similar to me, I kind of wanted to see what made him tick and what made him so successful there for this past year. So yeah, I'm definitely I'm cultivating that relationship a little more, starting kind of right now.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So, one other weird question, I guess. You had another social media post, in-home visit from some of the Gophers coaching staff, and you're wearing a Gophers basketball 1997 Final Four shirt. I guess, is there any background? Someone
Yep.
told you to wear that? Someone told you to get that, or kind of how did that start?
Yeah, so my dad got it for me, and he told me, he was like, everybody's gonna love it if you wear this T-shirt. And lo and behold, like when I was posted, there's a lot of people commenting about it, and every single time someone would comment about it, he would screenshot it and send it to me. Like he was really proud of that. So yeah, I've never really heard of the 1997 team or watched any of them, but yeah, my dad got that shirt for me.
Yeah, Gophers fans are gonna love anytime you, I guess, recognize that the basketball team hasn't made the big dance in a while, but that's a year that a lot of people love to bring up. So, I guess where did your, I guess,
Yeah.
sports fandom start growing up? Were you a local Illinois sports fan, Chicago sports fan, or kind of what's that background for you?
Yeah, so I've always been a Chicago Bears fan. I've never really been super into baseball, but Bulls fan, Blackhawks fan. I guess like if I had to choose a Chicago team, I'd be a Sox fan. Um, but for us, like football, my dad played football growing up. He played in college, so it's always been a big part of my childhood. And then my grandpa was actually did some photography work for the Chicago Bears when Walter Payton was playing. And we've
Wow.
actually been season ticket holders as a family for like 50 years. I actually have the season ticket holders flag up in my room right now. So, like the Chicago Bears have is kind of where it all started, I guess,
Yeah.
with football for me. But yeah, I've never really been like I've never been a Northwestern fan or an Illinois fan or really a college football fan until more recently. But the pro teams have always been Chicago.
Well, a great time to become a, I guess, Gophers diehard before you enroll at the school. But did you always play quarterback growing up, or at what point did you know? I guess that would be the position you play in high school.
Yeah, so growing up, so the first year I played football, I played up 2 years and I got it really late. And I was the worst kid on the team, smallest kid on the team. I played tight end and defensive end, I think. And then that next year, I had gone down to playing just 1 year up. And I played receiver and D end for the next 4 or 5 years. And then eventually, I believe it was fifth grade, I switched to quarterback. And so from that point on, I really developed from scratch. Everything. I think from fifth grade to eighth grade, I made a huge amount of progress every single year. And then once I got to eighth grade, I was pretty good for my age, or like starting to get some recognition. And then as high school progressed, I just kind of carried that momentum out. Just figured out what works for me, how to get better. Learn more about the game. I've been playing for a really long time. And even though I played youth football at some other positions, I still feel like that's benefited me to an extent, being able to, tackle people and hit people. Even when I'm younger, like I still love that side of football, even though I'm not allowed to do it anymore. But yeah.
Are there any guys at the next level that you like looking up to, maybe quarterbacks or even other position players?
Um, yeah, I mean, I love Joe Burrow, um, just because he's one of those guys who, he's athletic, but he's not a burner. He's not running all over the place. He's really smart with the ball. And he's a great leader, and he's really just a great player. And I think that there's a lot of similarities in my game and his. So trying to not necessarily copy him, but emulate some of the stuff that I see that he does. And I've had some people tell me like that I remind them of him. So trying to emulate some of his stuff is definitely something I try to do.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the Gophers coaches see a little Brosmer in you, and you like Joe Burrow. But if someone hasn't watched you play, I guess how would you explain your play style to them?
I'm sorry, I lost you again. Can you say that one more time?
No, yeah, it's all right. So you mentioned that the Gophers staff said there was a little Brosmer in your game, and you mentioned you like looking up to Joe Burrow. I guess if someone hadn't seen you play before, how do you explain your play style to them?
Yeah, so I think, for me, it really starts with quick footwork and quick game. I take a lot of pride in, my feet being fast, getting the ball out on time, being quick with the ball and being smart with it, not taking sacks, not turning the ball over. I think that my arm strength is definitely something that God has gifted me with, and that's probably my most naturally like gifted ability that I have is my ability to throw the football far, which is something that's important. That's nice to have, and being able to stretch the field and fit some balls in. And I think most importantly, as a leader, I'm somebody who tries to earn respect by working hard and earning that leadership role. At high school, um, being a captain as a junior, I think for one of the first people to do that at my school was a really big thing for me that I was really proud of. And I guess I just try to lead by example. And I'm working on my vocal leadership because I know as a quarterback, that's the most important thing is you got to be a vocal guy. So that's something I'm really trying to get better at.
Yeah, so I got a couple more for you here, and then we'll get out. But I guess heading into your senior year now, are there any specific personal goals or team goals you have heading into your last year of high school football?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number one goal is, first of all, for us is always to go 1-0 every week. We want to win So our school is a little interesting. So the last time that we won the state championship was in 2004. And the last time that we won our conference was the year before that. So even for us, winning conference is something that's really important. We've come really close the past 2 years. This past year in the conference championship game, I got hurt and I tore my shoulder. I came out and we lost by 1 point. So that's definitely something that's pretty high on my bulletin board for this year. Getting that done, I think that's attainable for us. And then, looking bigger picture, our goal is to win, obviously, to win the state championship game. I mean, it's been our goal. We were there my sophomore year, and we fell short. And so this group that we have right now, I think, is working harder and more motivated than any group that we've ever had. And we've got a lot of good leaders, and we're definitely headed in the right direction. So, um, team wise, those are our goals. Really are to win every game and beat everybody that we play. Personally, I mean, I think that the accolades come with team success. It's not something that I really worry about too much for myself, but being an all-state level player, being conference player of the year, county player of the year, or being able to double up with some of these awards that I won this past year would be nice to have. Um, but I mean, obviously the team stuff comes first. I want to leave with a ring before I come to Minnesota.
Yeah, last question I got for you. So you have your official visit scheduled for later this spring and May into June. It's different for a player that's already committed, I guess, but I guess what are your expectations for that official visit later this year?
I mean, the expectation is to have a good time. You know, get closer with some of the kids, and you know, hopefully we get a lot more commitments, and we have a better idea of where the class is at by the time we're heading into those official visits. But I mean, as I'm sure you know, those are a really important time in terms of recruiting. So, you know, I'll be obviously focused on enjoying the weekend, but also trying to help get some more kids committed in the class. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about what to expect specifically with like events and kind of what's going on, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. All right, Owen. I appreciate you doing this again, and best of luck heading into your senior season.